AEW Dynamite is objectively a very bad wrestling show. In fact, AEW in general is objectively bad professional wrestling. I mean, it is just unyieldingly, never-endingly bad. And I want to take this show apart. Probably not piece by piece because that would require me watching every single grating moment of the show. But we're going to do the show review. We're going to do news and notes, and we're going to do the full gear preview. We're going to do all of that. So I'm not going to go in any real detail about the news and notes, but I will say that it has been officially announced that AEW will be on Max starting January the 1st. They will be having their Fight for the Fallen show, which will be a charity show for the hurricane victims. And you know what? This is exactly what AEW needed. This is one of two things that they actually needed. They needed something for fans to get excited about, and they needed the second piece of our news and notes, which is that AEW will reportedly, according to Dave Meltzer, be running smaller venues. So AEW needed both of these things. They needed something for the fans to get excited about, and another way to watch the show, to see that Warner Bros. Discovery is investing in the product. That gives the fans something to care about. Smaller venues, as they're calling it, more intimate venues, that horse, what horse pucky, as they say in the suburbia. What horse puppy? What baloney? Anyway, the smaller venues will make the smaller number of people. It will make it look better, sound better on television. For a long time, the AEW fans have resisted this. They don't want AEW to look like NXT or TNA or MLW, where, 500 people in the building still looks pretty good, depending on how you shoot it, as opposed to, half empty, actually more than half, 3/4 empty buildings. So these two things are very positive. I really hope AEW does start running smaller venues. They actually have released their schedule, and I think they're going to use Hammerstein Ballroom for a couple of times here, which is one of the old ECW arenas. This ought to work out very well for them. If they can get 2,000, 3,000 people in those buildings, they'll sell it out. Those people will be energized to be there, hopefully, and it'll sound better, look better on television. It ought to be also a decent gauge of the strength of the brand, and when the brand is built back up, let's say they catch fire, and all of a sudden they're overselling the building, meaning that they no longer can contain being in a small building, then you can work your way back up to bigger buildings. But I think the bigger benefit to them to running smaller buildings is that they'll spend less money on venues. I've said before on this channel, each show is its own business. These Dynamites have to be losing money. I don't know how much they get per episode right now. That, of course, will increase quite a bit when they get the rights fee increase. But their labor costs are pretty much the same. I don't know how their contracts are structured. I really don't. I don't know if everybody gets paid whether they work or not, which, there might be some kind of downside guarantee where you get paid just for showing up, or you get paid the same whether you work a pay-per-view or you don't. But assuming it's similar to WWE, where you get paid something just for being on the show, they have a lot of people on these shows, and their production costs have to be through the roof. So to try to save some money running smaller venues, which are going to be cheaper venues, is probably going to be better for them economically. And running smaller venues while they have more money coming in will allow them to run longer and be more engaged in free agents and things like that. So they'll have more money freed up, and it'll look better on television. So I don't see a problem with either one of these things. I know the AEW fans were very, very excited for the Max thing. I hope it works out for them. All right, the third news and notes, the only thing I got to say is Toni Storm is doing some kind of fake retirement angle. She will most certainly be at Full Gear. Why else would they be doing Mariah May's championship celebration on pay-per-view? All the time she spent wrestling on Collision and Rampage, they're going to do her celebration, which is approximately 3 months after she won the title. They're finally going to do her celebration, and then it's the same week Toni Storm announced that she's going to retire. Kick rocks. Nobody believes that. Let's get right into the show, however. So we start the show with the November Rain video package, which is about summarizing all the stories for Full Gear. The package was fine. I'm just not sure if November Rain as a song fits what they were going for. And you know, when people do cool edits on the internet, how the song fits what we're looking at is very important. Not just, oh, I'm gonna put my favorite song on this. Because, you know, rap music doesn't always fit. Rock music doesn't always fit. Jazz doesn't always fit. You know, so I'm not sure if November Rain fits. Let me know if you think that it works for this video package. For me, it kind of doesn't. We did this goofy ass 22-minute 8-man tag. Ricochet, Powerhouse Hobbs, Will Ospreay, and Mark Davis lose to Kyle Fletcher, Brian Cage, Lance Archer, and Konosuke Takeshita. Kyle Fletcher, he's out there with the 1994 Bob Backlund haircut. What an embarrassment. Lance Archer, just he's got weave 1 minute. He's looking like Drew McIntyre the next minute. He doesn't know what he wants to do. I mean, he's like half Drew McIntyre, half Damian Priest. All bad. I mean, this guy sucked for over a decade. My goodness. They did a gimmick where Powerhouse Hobbs got written out of the match with a knee injury, only for him to make a heroic comeback, but he still wasn't factored into the finish. Takeshita pinned Mark Davis, who looks like a slob, but he looks like less of a slob in his wrestling gear. He actually looked like an old wrestler from 1983 or something. Before the first WrestleMania, he would have fit in perfectly in terms of mid-Atlantic television or something to that effect. So, Moxley cut a promo. He doesn't like the kind of person Orange Cassidy is. He's a threat to his people. Claudio then starts speaking in German. I think that was German. Then talk about his plan to end Darby. Darby said that all of them and the Death Riders are going to have their day, and today is Claudio's day. So we're going to go to Claudio versus Darby Allin. A match I thought was going to end up on pay-per-view, because I looked at the card and was like, why would some guy named Big Boom AJ be on your show and Claudio Castagnoli is not on your show, and then Darby Allin is not on your show? Why would Big Boom AJ be in a featured match? But I don't know nothing. Anyway, I might be too anti-Smark-ish with this next take, but I couldn't stop thinking about it the entire time I was watching this match, and this is a match I wanted to see. I get why Claudio doesn't make it. Like, he doesn't do anything wrong, but it's just all spots. That's really all it is. There's no real charisma. There's no real flair. He's almost machine-like. He executes everything well, but there's no excitement to it. You know? Like when he did the suplex spot. Great spot. Excellent spot. But when you see somebody like Bianca Belair do a suplex spot, like when she does the suplex joint, she starts doing like the marching or whatever, and then she kind of kips back up, and it has like all this attitude with it, all this flair, all this personality. Compare that to like Claudio when he does like a suplex spot. He's significantly stronger than she is. And he, you know, in some ways, when he does things, it's more impressive. But it comes across like a robot, like you're looking at a Tesla robot do a wrestling match. Like, he can execute everything well, but where's the personality in this thing? Where's the attitude in this stuff? And this match just was basically like a dead giveaway. He's a great base for Darby Allin to bounce off of when he does like his tope suicidas and stuff like this. But Claudio, he doesn't have enough personality to make this stuff work. He's not mean enough. He's not happy enough. His attitude is always very level, very calm. Even when he's trying to be vicious, it just doesn't come across as him being vicious. Like when he bench pressed Darby Allin over his head and threw him onto the tables or whatever. That was a great spot. Excellent spot. Just imagine if somebody like a Braun Strowman had done something like that. How much oomph they would have put onto it. And I'm not saying that, Braun Strowman is better than Claudio. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, like, there are intangibles when you do something that matter, that emphasize what you're doing. And Claudio has none of that. Just none of it. And I can 100% see why he never made it in WWE and why he's a lackey in AEW. He's a great, functional, professional wrestler. But he's a mechanic. He's maybe even a super mechanic. But he's just that. And there's no frills about it. There's no sizzle to the steak. So if you skip a Claudio match, what really have you missed? You didn't really miss much of anything. You can see the spots on TikTok or whatever. I was actually surprised Claudio won this match. Because I thought in my head, Darby Allin is one of the guys that they're building in this storyline, so he should win. But had you fooled, he lost. He lost to a running lariat. So that was that. Darby Allin lost to a running lariat. Okie dokie. It was fun while it lasted, I guess. It was the most inoffensive thing on the show. With the exception of, Claudio is in the ring, so my mind is going elsewhere, and I'm trying not to look at my phone, literally do anything else, but it was fine. So MVP had an announcement that Lashley would wrestle tonight. He then got sucker punched from behind by Swerve with a chain. Lashley went down. When he went down, his suit pants came up, and it almost came up to his knees. It almost turned into shorts. Like, I know that's how your suit pants are supposed to be, I guess. But it's almost hilarious that every time Lashley wears a suit, you can see like his ankles and shins and everything. I'm like, come on, brother. So Lashley is going to have a match, which we ended up having as MVP and Shelton Benjamin going around assaulting lookalikes. There's a Swerve lookalike for some reason. Some guy in a Swerve coat. And that was dumb. Anyway, we had the match, and the opponents, one of them was Cheeseburger, the guy from Ring of Honor, the extremely skinny guy from Ring of Honor, who also went by the name the world famous CB. Now, for world famous CB is actually a fun gimmick because he looked like he's the leader of a funk band. He's like an old pimp, and it was a real fun gimmick that he did during the pandemic at Ring of Honor right before Tony Khan bought it. But Cheeseburger is extremely slight. He's a very, very skinny man. And the other one was Joe Keys, who's also from Ring of Honor. They both got beat up by Lashley. No big deal. After the match, Swerve attacked Lashley again with the chain, knocked him down, kicked him in the head. So they gave Swerve a little something on the go home show, likely because he's not going to win the big match. But that's fine. I don't like that he keeps hitting Lashley with the chain and Lashley goes down, but he's only kind of stunned. Like, that kind of puts, I guess you're trying to put Lashley over by saying, like, oh, even with punching him with a chain, you can't stop him. Still, you're kind of burying the chain or using a fugazi-ass chain. If I hit somebody with a chain, I don't care how big they are. Unless you have a chin like, is drawn by Jack Kirby, you're supposed to go out. I don't know. It reminds me of when the Miz hit John Cena with a metal pipe, and Cena basically just no-sold it. I'll never forget that day. That was hilarious. That was one of the funnier episodes of Monday Night Raw. It's time to play What Color is Adam Cole, baby? And he came out and he looked like a highlighter. It was some weird yellowish tint, yellowish orange. I don't know what he got going on? What kind of spray tan is making him look like Lenny from The Simpsons? Why is he doing this to himself? Stop coming out here like this, okay? Be more professional than this. Anyway, he said that MJF succeeded in keeping the two of them apart, but Roderick Strong has the same goal as him, and Roderick Strong is going to kick MJF's ass. So then Kyle O'Reilly came out there, and I thought Kyle O'Reilly was moving to, Bengali or something with all the bags under his eyes. He had satchels under his eyes. I'm like, why is he so sleepy? Go take a nap. I think he has like a bunch of medical issues like diabetes and a bunch of other stuff. I'm like, brother, you need a nap. He looks so him and CM Punk are the two sleepiest looking people I've ever seen. I never understood how they have like bags like an old lady. I don't get it. Anyway, Kyle O'Reilly decides he's going to glaze MJF by saying he's an evil bastard. And that this, association with MJF this obsession with MJF has consumed Adam Cole, and he needs to let it go. He's got his friends fighting his battles for him, and Adam Cole is like, what the hell is going on with this guy? So, Kyle O'Reilly he walks out after telling Adam Cole to let this whole thing go, to which Adam Cole is like, I'm not wrestling MJF, but no, I won't let it go, for the record. Later, MJF starts talking about Roderick Strong and his childhood trauma, which they use brilliantly on NXT. I'll talk about that in a second. MJF says that Adam Cole makes Roderick Strong feel supported, and that was the same thing he felt from Adam Cole, but he realizes that Adam Cole is a fraud and a liar. And he's happy that Roderick Strong is the guy who won, and he's going to be the guy who faces him, because he wants Adam Cole to watch his friends suffer. He says that he's going to beat Roderick Strong so bad, he's going to wish that his mom shot him rather than shooting his dad. Before we move on to Roderick Strong's rebuttal to this, I want to say they used this brilliantly in NXT. They told the story of Roderick Strong's parents. It was basically like in vignette form. It was leading up to his big match with Bobby Roode. They were telling this story about Roderick Strong basically growing up in a trailer and being trailer trash and all this stuff. They had newspaper clippings and all this stuff about his family. And of course they talked about how he was, breaking these, what the wokeness called now, generational curses, that, he's got his new baby. This is right around the time his son was born. And it was him and Marina and these video packages with their son. It was great. It built Roderick Strong up to the point where I thought Roderick Strong was going to win the NXT title. Nope, didn't happen. Killed him dead right there, though, by the way. But you don't tell the story of this guy's, parents shooting each other, and how he's growing beyond that. And now he's got his own family, then you beat him. That's nuts. But they told the story here because MJF's got to be, edgy boy. You're going to wish your mom shot you. Oh, God. So Roderick Strong says that he's not ashamed of his parents or his childhood, and that MJF's words made him feel like he was in elementary school because he had heard all that stuff before. That was a great turnaround. He says that he learned to get the most out of life. To break the cycle, you got to earn it. You got to do the work, and that's what he's done. While MJF, when things don't go his way, he throws tantrums. Then he mentioned that he's going to break his back and make him humble. I thought this was probably the best Roderick Strong promo, because he addressed exactly what MJF said, but he also took it to an inspirational level by saying, if you want to get the most out of life, you want to get out of a situation like I was in, you got to earn it. You got to work for it. And that's what he's done his whole life, is, bust his ass. That's excellent. I wish they were using that story for something that actually mattered, and not for an angle that he's not really even involved in. He doesn't need to be wrestling MJF. He should not be having a match with MJF at all. This should be about Adam Cole and MJF. But I don't know. What do I know? I don't know anything. I promise you that. Orange Cassidy didn't want his friends in his corner tonight. He wanted to fight alone. Oh my God. Just lead us to the terrible main event of Orange Cassidy versus Wheeler Yuta. It was the shits. The less said about it, the better. Moxley's group just sauntered out there and beat up Orange Cassidy until they got bored after the match, because Orange Cassidy won, of course. He didn't win in dominant fashion, which he probably should have in order to really put him over. Afterwards, it took these guys forever to force Orange Cassidy's hands in his pockets and then tape him up. And then they picked him up so Moxley can slap him 3 times. That's all they did. They didn't, put a screwdriver up his nose or nothing like that. They just got bored of Moxley smacking him, and then they walked off. Orange Cassidy climbed to his feet after the congratulations came out there, because they stayed away because he asked them to, so they're very obedient guys. Then he defiantly, they made sure to yell defiant 100 times, put his hands in his pockets and his shades on his face and say, "I'm still me, even after all of this stuff you did to me. I'm still here, Moxley." And Moxley just kind of looked at him. He was jaw-jacking with the fans and a bunch of other shit. He wasn't really paying attention. I mean, it is what it is. This is garbage. This is absolute garbage. This is garbage. You're supposed to end the show on an uptick, which they kind of did. They tried to by having Orange Cassidy survive all of this, but Moxley didn't do anything to him. He barely did anything. The point is to give Moxley free shots to do whatever he wanted to do. And all he wanted to do was put his hands in his pockets and smack his face a couple of times. Big deal. Mariah May is going to have her celebration with Mina Shirakawa. They shook their titties. They said they're going to turn Rampage into Glampage. That was interesting. Not. Private Party, we're talking to the Costco guys. I have no idea who these people are. I swear to God, I don't know who these people are. I've never seen a single... I'm not on TikTok. I'm too old. So I don't know what this crap is, what is going on, why this guy's smiling so much. I mean, he's smiling like he's in a commercial. He comes across like a guy who's in a commercial. And he's talking about big bam boom cookies or some horse shit. I'm like, is this guy even a wrestler? So I look him up, and he is. I forgot what his name is already. I didn't write it down. But apparently he's a former indie wrestler. I'm like, this is bullshit. Why are you doing this? Why is Ricky Starks wrestling in House of Glory and this fucking guy is on your show? Oh, my good God. Then they showed a video package of Jack Perry getting kidnapped after he kidnapped the Chunky 2.0 guy. What the fuck is that guy's name? Matt Menard. Okay, Matt Menard. Jack Perry, who is all of 5'7", managed to kidnap a man who's nearly twice his size. Then roles got reversed, and then Jack Perry found himself kidnapped, and then chained. You hear this correctly. He was chained to the hood of his own bus. This bus was then driven through a fence while he was still chained to it. And then we go into a scene that looks like it came from Casino Royale or some other James Bond movie or some Taken-like flick. And Daniel Garcia and Matt Menard have handcuffed or taped or zip-tied Jack Perry to a chair in a garage somewhere. Okay? And they start having this very dramatic conversation between the two of them, between Jack Perry and Daniel Garcia, where Garcia says he just wants to have a wrestling match. That's all he wanted. But this place is run by savages. It's full of savages. Everybody's a savage. Jack Perry starts going off about how everybody is, everybody knows right from wrong, until there's time to make sacrifices. And then they start going back and forth about sacrifices. And then Jack Perry spit in Daniel Garcia's face. Then Daniel Garcia went and got a crowbar. And instead of, prying Jack Perry's brain from his head, he hit the front of the school bus with the crowbar, and Jack Perry laughed at him. Jack Perry, who has been kidnapped, by the way, he is the captive in this situation. He laughed at the guy who was kidnapping him. And then Daniel Garcia, after he hit this truck with the crowbar, he said, we got to go. We got to get out of here. We got to get out of here. Let's go. And Jack Perry's like, yeah, you should probably get out of here. I mean, go ahead, get out of here. Bye. See you later. And they just left him sitting there with shackled to the chair. This was probably the most, look, I'm not going to lie to you. I don't mind pieces of this. If you want to do some crazy 2002 WWF shit where, you know, The Rock gets run over by an ambulance or something like that, I'm all for that in wrestling. I mean, go for it. So them want to kidnap Jack Perry and tie him to the hood of the truck and drive with him on the hood of the truck, that's funny. If they just stopped right there, I might have been like, okay, that was fun. But the entirety of the kidnapping plot was the dumbest fucking shit I've ever seen. This is just stupid. You kidnapped the guy to do nothing to him. You poured water on his head, he spit on you, and you threatened to hit him with a crowbar, decided, instead, I'm going to hit the front of his truck, and then we're going to panic and leave. This is the worst kidnapping I've ever seen. This was a terrible kidnapping. There was no fear from Jack Perry because, of course, he's fearless. You know, he's not afraid of this guy at all, despite the fact that Daniel Garcia has already kidnapped him, has, you know, damn near strangled him 100 times. I'm floored. The only positive about this whole thing is I actually watched all of it. It was so ludicrous, I watched all of it. It was so over the top, I watched all of it. And that's the only positives I got. At least I watched it all. All right. I never looked away. I didn't look away for a second because I wanted to see what he was going to do to Jack Perry. And the answer is nothing. He got frustrated. He was so impotent that he got the heel all tied up. He didn't know what to do. I'm so frustrated. I'm gonna hit this thing. We gotta get out of here. We gotta go. Like he broke into it or something. Like he just committed a murder. Like he just, robbed the First National Bank or something like this. This is stupid. These are profoundly stupid people. This is a profoundly stupid fucking show. This show is stupid. What on earth? Now, how is he going to get that TNT title when Jack Perry's locked in a closet somewhere? Come on, guy. Think about these things. Use your common sense. Jamie Hayter, with her very heavily feathered hair, is talking. I've never been less interested in a woman talking. And then she's interrupted by a Julia Hart vignette. I think she was talking about being interrupted by Julia Hart and how she didn't appreciate it. That's too bad because it happened again. Third time the charm, no doubt. So, Chris Jericho. Now, this was actually funny. Chris Jericho sitting there. He's grinning, of course. They're doing a contract signing with him and Big Tom, as they called him. They had the audacity to name the human potato Big Tom. Oh, my word. So, Tomohiro Ishii, a.k.a. Big Tom, Jericho is looking at this contract, says that he has to have his legal team, cross the T's and dot the I's and go through all of that. And so he's going to walk off with the contract. So he just casually walks off with the contract. He stops to admire himself on the side of a truck. And he turns around and Big Tom is staring at him. And Jericho is like, that's weird. And he starts walking away. And as he walking, Big Tom is stalking him, like following him like Jason Voorhees. So because Jericho is a ham, he actually plays it up. And he starts walking a little bit faster. He's constantly looking over his shoulder. He's trying to put people in the way. He's putting garbage cans in the way. He's running up the steps. He's running down steps. I'm like, this is excellent shit. It's so stupid, but it's fun. I don't know where Jericho's going. I don't know what the end point of this is. It don't really even matter. The fact of the matter is, this shit was funny. All right? It was funny. This show needed this. I know everybody hates the new Chris Jericho character. Yeah. I don't want to see him wrestle either. I don't like Big Tom either. I'm not a big fan. But this shit was funny. Ishii just following him around, making sure he signed that contract was funny. They finally get to the ring. Jericho looks at Big Tom and says, I would sign this contract, but I do not have a pen. So Ishii just, I don't know, maybe he used the power of the Dragon Ball or something. A pen showed up. All right, I don't know. Maybe he had it on him the whole time. And he has an ink pen. Jericho signs the contract, and of course, Jericho's boy is jumping. Then the congratulations guys come out there. There's a big brawl. Jericho gets a brain buster. Big Tom signs the contract. All the stuff that was in the ring was pointless because Jericho was standing there sizing him up like, I'm gonna stab him with this ink pen, but he just kept going, I'm gonna, until these guys finally ran out there to save him. You got to be smoother than that. You just got to be smoother than that. You just can't keep going, I'm gonna, and then until somebody stops you. You know, if they miss their cue, just stab the motherfucker. I mean, forget it. You got to protect your gimmick, right? So, but Jericho was silly. I thought this was funny. It ain't going to get over with the Jim Cornette crowd, but it got over with me. Jericho's funny as shit. I don't want to see him wrestle anymore. I don't think I need to see him wrestle, but that was some funny stuff. All right, so we're going to spend the next couple of minutes on our Full Gear predictions. AEW Full Gear, November 23rd, from the Prudential Center in Newark, New Jersey. They have distributed 7,407 tickets, which is most of the current setup, which is 8,369. This is from WrestleTix, and it is WrestleTix as of November the 17th. So, about 7,500 people. There's probably going to be about 8,000 in the building as ticket prices will plummet closer to the show. So let's say about 8,000 people are likely going to be in the building, a little over 8,000. That's not too bad. It's much better than they do for TV, so can't complain there. It ain't the best. You would like to see 10 to 12, but they're in a down period. AEW's in a cool down period. And WWE is not much better, despite the fact that their fans keep rubbing it in their faces. There are 9 matches listed on this show, only one of which is a pre-show match. So the pre-show match is Big Boom AJ versus QT Marshall. Listen, I can come up with 10,000 other ways to waste money. You could buy a lifetime supply of ramen noodles. You could buy all the Gundam put together box sets you want. You could pay people individually to pull your nose hairs out of your nose. There's 100 other things I would rather spend money on than Big Boom AJ versus QT Marshall. But then again, I'm not a billionaire. And maybe that's why I'm not a billionaire, because I won't give bums money. So, we're going to move on. I don't care what happens. I don't care. You can fire both of these assholes into the sun. I don't care. Next, MJF versus Roderick Strong. There's no reason MJF would lose this match. This match is a Dynamite match that they've shoved on pay-per-view. There's no real heat between these two guys. The heat that they did have was kind of transferred over to Adam Cole, if we're being honest, because that's who MJF was friends with. And MJF and Roderick Strong, they did have issues in that storyline, but Roderick Strong was a heel at the time. So I just don't feel like this was an angle that needed to make it on pay-per-view. It could have did this on TV. But MJF is so special. You know, he's like Roman Reigns, I guess. He only works on pay-per-view. He's such a big star. Moving on. MJF's going to win. Move on. Jay White versus Hangman Page. Oh, I don't know. This feels like it's for no reason. I saw the video packages. Hangman swears this pay-per-view was named after him. It's like the pay-per-view is named Full Gear. It's not named after Hangman or cowboys or horses or rodeos or anything to that effect. It has to do with your gimmick. I don't really want to see this. We saw this guy's wrestle before. It was pretty good, decent then. Hangman Page is not a big star to me. He's a solid hand. You know, he's a pretty good Intercontinental Champion. AEW swears he's world championship material. I don't think so. Jay White has not been produced well. He has not been pushed well. And because he doesn't really have much to say, he just comes across as saying the same shit over and over again. I don't really care about who wins this match either. I would imagine Jay White's going to win because they would want to move him forward. But then again, why? Maybe just 50-50 book it and have Hangman win. It won't matter in the end anyway. All right, a fatal 4-way match for the AEW Tag Team Championships. Private Party versus the Outrunners versus the Kings of the Black Throne versus the Acclaimed. So, Max Caster got into some issues lately when he did his rap. I don't know if it was Collision or Rampage. He made a joke about illegal immigrants, and that got edited out of the show. But a lot of people was upset about him doing illegal immigrant jokes and him doing Kamala Harris jokes. The same people who claim WWE is for children and how could you watch a PG product? It's for kids. They get upset whenever something gets mildly dirty. Something gets mildly offensive and they fill their underwear with shit. What a bunch of weirdos they are. If nobody would have been offended if he'd have made jokes about other people, but all of a sudden it's about, ICE and illegal immigrants or something like that. We got to edit it out the show and we're going to complain. Look, either it's okay to make fun of everybody or it's okay to make fun of nobody. In which case, just cut the rap gimmick and he stops doing it altogether. Private Party, I will say this. This match being a fatal 4-way right out of the gate does not engender faith that they are a team that matters in AEW. It feels like they're going to book them like they booked the Lucha Brothers, which is a bunch of high-flying matches on Collision and Rampage, a bunch of triple threats and fatal 4-ways and stuff like that to cover up the fact that they can't draw on their own, they're not really over on their own, and that the Young Bucks drop some cold belts to them, And besides that fact, Private Party has never really gotten over from working with anybody. Private Party is known for, they beat the Young Bucks. And then, they beat the Young Bucks. And that's it. Like, they didn't go out there and have any classics with anybody else or, So that opportunity to establish them as that kind of team is being thrown in the blender. Because now they're going to be the second or third most over team in this match. Because the Outrunners are a much better team than Private Party and a much more over team than Private Party. But they didn't want them to work with the Outrunners for some odd reason. They don't want the Outrunners on Dynamite, which is ridiculous. Why wouldn't you want the Outrunners on Dynamite when the show's ratings are in the toilet? You wouldn't want to put those. Well, look, I'm trying to make excuses. Forget it. Let's just get through this, okay? Private Party just won the belt, so they're not going to lose them. 9 times out of 10, they're probably going to pin the Acclaimed because Max Caster has a lot of heat on him. And some people actually want the Acclaimed to be broken up. But that's not going to do either one of them any favor. So, hopefully this is... every match I'm hoping is the end of Malachi Black's run in AEW. I'm not even saying that I want him in WWE. I just don't want him in pain anymore. And I'm not even talking about physical pain at this point. It looks like it just pains him to show up. I think he probably saw his name on that poster and just like, He probably had a Mike Tyson ulcer flare up. Just looking at his name and his face being on that poster. He's like, oh my God, my kidneys. Everything hurts. I just don't want my guy in pain anymore. I know he don't want to be there. He's wrapping his cup across the bars at this point. Like, let me out of here. I just don't want him to be. I don't want him to suffer. I don't want him to suffer no more. Match 5. Mercedes Moné and Camille versus Chris Statlander. I actually forgot to talk about Chris Statlander versus Hikaru Shida. Hikaru Shida is Japanese Bailey. She even has a chubby face just like Bailey. Their match was okay. It was hard for me to get into it because it was a babyface versus babyface match, and it seemingly happened for no reason. But Statlander won the match. Okay, no big deal. After the match, Mercedes forced Camille, who was in a sling, to get in the ring and do something to Statlander. So not only was she in a sling, but she was also in heels. Open-toed shoes, by the way. And look, for the record, just as an aside, I'm kind of tired of the open-toed shoe thing in pro wrestling. Like, this is a business where people fight. Unless it's like a ceremony, like if you're doing some kind of like birthday ceremony or something, you should really not be wearing open-toed shoes at the wrestling show. I don't know. It's like wearing a gown or something like that. Like, there's times and places for these sorts of things. If you're going to be in any kind of combat situation, you probably should wear like regular shoes, not like open-toed heels, So she's in there in heels with an arm in a sling, and she gets beat up, of course, by Shida and Statlander. And Mercedes gets a tombstone power driver for her trouble, which of course is a dead giveaway that Statlander ain't winning this match. Now this match ought to be fun because Statlander is great. Mercedes has her moments. I don't hate Mercedes as much as everybody else does. I've always been a person who likes her talent but dislikes her personality. And I think that with the right, I guess you could say, dance partner, Mercedes can have some really good stuff. I've watched quite a bit of her material recently. I just watched her match with Bailey, the Iron Man match she had at NXT. You'll never convince me that the girl can't work. The problem is that her ego is out of control. And years later, it has bloomed from where she had a chip on her shoulder and she had something to prove to now she feels like she wants to have all this control and she doesn't really want people telling her what to do. She wants to do her own thing. And she forgot what made Sasha Banks / Mercedes work. And a lot of that was how WWE produced her, how WWE, positioned her. And maybe she wasn't meant to be what she is now. Maybe she wasn't meant to be this person in this position. But I do think that she has an incredible amount of talent. And I think Statlander has talent too. So this ought to be the best match on the show from what I see so far. At least the most interesting match for me. The next match will be even more interesting for me. Swerve Strickland versus Bobby Lashley. Two guys that I like. I like both of these people. Lashley should win. Does he need to win? Not really, but he should win. You want to establish Lashley as a serious threat, a big-time star, and then you have him put over Swerve. I think this match might be happening a little too soon, but this is what, Lashley was brought in for. This is what MVP was brought in for, is to have something for Swerve to do while the championship is tied up somewhere else. So, Lashley should be the wall that Swerve cannot climb until he finally does. So I would suggest Lashley wins this match and you build up for a rematch, and you don't even have Swerve win the rematch. You have Swerve lose the rematch too. And then he probably beats him on the third try. Because I don't know how long they plan to keep Swerve occupied before they decide to put him back in the world title picture. But as long as it's not immediate, in the immediate future, he shouldn't win. Go with Lashley. Let's establish Lashley. Match 7, Jack Perry versus Daniel Garcia, which sounds like the main event of Rampage. Jack Perry is fearless. He's brave. He's everything you would look for in a babyface. Yet, he's also tiny. He's also sans charisma. And Daniel Garcia is trying very hard. He has intensity. I'll give him that. But I don't think anybody is clamoring to see Daniel Garcia. I don't think anybody cares about Daniel Garcia. Would it be a big win if Daniel Garcia won? Sure. But it seems like they're still establishing Jack Perry right now. And that's going to end up being, I think, the poison pill. Is that they're just not ready to put the belt on Daniel Garcia yet. And I think kidnapping Jack Perry is probably the dead giveaway that Daniel Garcia is not going to win. You know, his lack of killer instinct is probably going to be his undoing. I'm pretty sure I will go to the bathroom or something during this match because I don't want to see it. I don't really care. Will Ospreay versus Kyle Fletcher. Kyle Fletcher. I don't know why he has this Amber Rose haircut. This match doesn't interest me at all either. I don't like Kyle Fletcher. He's not an interesting performer to me. He's very bland looking. He talks very blandly. I don't really care about what they're fighting about. Will Ospreay, I'm continuously being told is one of the best wrestlers in the world. He's one of the greatest of all time and all this shit. I'm just not seeing it. To me, it just comes across like, you know, he's a second-rate Kenny Omega, you know, with an English accent. And he seems to be a little bit more fiery and have a little bit more personality than Omega, but it's pretty much the same thing, same template. You know, so for me, I don't care about this match. They have tried to make people care, and I will give them credit for that. This ought to be a showcase for Kyle Fletcher if there is anything to Kyle Fletcher. If there is any shred of talent in Kyle Fletcher, he's got to bring it out here. Because this is probably going to be the only Kyle Fletcher match I will sit through. Because if this match is not interesting, if this is just another match where all these guys hit every move they know how to do and jump off everything, I'm probably never going to watch another Kyle Fletcher match. And so this is going to be his one chance to be very, very impressive. And he better bring his A game, or I probably will never watch another Kyle Fletcher match all the way through again. And Will Ospreay is not going to lose. Will Ospreay is going to win. Why would Kyle Fletcher win? For what? To establish him for what? To do what? He's not going to be world champion. He's not going to be a champion of anything. They're probably going to wrestle again in that stupid-ass tournament they're talking about now. Main event, Jon Moxley versus Orange Cassidy. Don't care about this at all. Jon Moxley's going to win. There's no chance in hell Orange Cassidy wins this title. Not if Tony Khan intends to have a company in 2026. You know, I can't imagine Orange Cassidy winning the title and this company still being being respected and in the future. So, no. I expect Jon Moxley to win. Okay. So that's pretty much it for the Full Gear preview. They said that the Continental Classic will start up next week, but they did not drop us I guess on Full Gear they're gonna tell us who's in it. So we'll see who's in it. We don't know if Okada is in it. We don't know who's in it, but I'm not thrilled about that tournament. This knockoff G1 that they do, I'm not thrilled about it. Don't really care. So tough. And, you know, as they are trying to tell a company-wide story, dropping a tournament right in the middle of it is going to be difficult to book. So I'm very interested in how they're going to book their Continental Classic while having Moxley's storyline dominate the bulk of the show. Are you just going to have a bubble where these guys are having their nice little tournament matches that end in time limit draws and a bunch of other shit while Moxley set souls on fire over here and, You know, he's pulling people's teeth out with, you know, with his bare hands or something. I mean, is it sports or is it sports entertainment? You know, you got to make up your mind. I don't think they're gonna. I don't think they're gonna. They're probably gonna just think that, you know, it's no big deal. A humorous thing. You're gonna close on this. Ricochet. Ricochet did an interview where he claims that he's going to show everybody that he can carry a company. He says, I'm going to show everybody that I can carry a company. You know, and this feels right. I can carry AEW. He's not even booked for this show. He's not even booked for this show. There's so many people that are not booked for this show, but Big Boom AJ is. And I don't want to go into that. You know, maybe Big Boom AJ might be the nicest guy on earth. He might, you know, save puppies and pull cats from trees. And, you know, he's helping pigeons lay eggs or something. You know, he's just doing all kinds of nice things. You know, he's getting vitamins for undernourished kids. Who knows? You know, but he has no business being on a wrestling show. Even as a goof. I mean, if he wanted to be like a backstage guy or something, that might be okay. But putting him in the ring, that's definitely 2019 AEW shit. Like when they had that other goofball wrestler on their pre-show. All right. Anyway, I plan to make a pot of chili. I love chili. I know I made chili not too long ago, but that is my plan for Full Gear. My Full Gear meal. I plan to make a full pot of chili, no beans. And that'll probably be it for the weekend. I'll probably just make it earlier in the day and have that with Full Gear. Let me know what you guys are going to do. Like, share, subscribe. Talk to you later.